What's up? I'm at Walmart. We're gonna go inside, see if we can find some really cheap baits. Looking around for a minute, the cheapest baits I can find are these little cream spoiler shads. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab 2 of those. They're $1.86 each. We're gonna head to the checkout and see how much the damage is for. This is all I'm gonna throw. They're already pre-rigged. Looked around. We're going cheap as possible. This is it. Let's go check out. Like I mentioned, these cream baits were the cheapest I could find. I got 2 just in case I lose some. I got some backups. The total was $3.98. It's hot. Let's go get the boat and see if these cheap lures can catch some big fish. All right, so we got the boat. Obviously, I'm standing in it right now. We're gonna see if this super cheap lure can get the job done. The hooks don't seem too bad, honestly. As I said that, I just noticed the first issue. So this bait isn't even gonna be able to be used because I just noticed that if it'll focus on it, the ring is literally not even attached. So, so we're down a bait. So this bait, it landed in the boat, don't worry. We got 1 white one, so let's go ahead and get this rigged up and get tossing. There we go. Alright, let's get this little cheap guy tied on. I tie the same knot literally every bait. I just know one knot. It's the only one I use, and it's got the job done for me so far. Cut off a little tag. Alright, we're rigged up. Got our cheap bait, 30-pound leader, Daiwa Saltist MQ4000 on a bull bay rods, a salt rod medium heavy. That is the weapon today. And literally we are not gonna have to retie lures unless we lose this thing or end up wanting to switch to the blue. This thing's got some weight to it, which I'm not super excited about because a lot of the stuff I'm gonna be fishing today is pretty shallow. I'm honestly just gonna like kind of work it like a shrimp. And I honestly think just in general, I'm gonna be fishing this thing a little slower. That was a fish eat. That was 100% a fish eat right here. I didn't see exactly where it was, but it was deep in those mangroves. Oh, I see a fish. I see a fish swimming right here. There we go. What do we got here? Little red. Saw him swimming too. I worked that pretty slow before he ate. All right, let's get you in the boat, buddy. Right in the corner of the mouth. Just drumming away. Beautiful little red right there. Got 2 cool spots on his tail. Other side's just got 1. I love looking at these little redfish's tails, but we're gonna get him back in the water. And I know there's like decent fish around here, but that's a good sign that right away a fish already ate the first fish we saw in the water. He's ready to go. He absolutely sprayed the crap out of me. So right away, first fish we saw ate the bait. The hook didn't bend at all, so the hook is still in good shape. So that's a good sign. So that was the first fish we've seen. I've only been fishing for like 10-15 minutes, so I could tell just by looking at the bait that it could definitely work. I mean, it's just a simple paddle tail, white paddle tail. But I was worried about the hooks. Then obviously you saw the little ring on the first one wasn't. So that's just kind of, I should have just looked in the package when I bought it, just knowing it's a cheap bait. But so far it's getting the job done. The hook didn't bend was what I was worried about the most, but that was a small fish. So if we hook a bigger one, that'll be the true test. But so far, so good. Let's see if we can catch some more. Because we're not getting much sun and this is really mainly a blind cast mission, I'm fishing painfully slow. Since I've caught that fish, it's probably been another hour and we haven't really moved a ton. I'm just trying to fish every single square inch of this place because you never know when, like, you could throw a cast right here, there could be a redfish right here, and because you landed it there and not in front of him, he didn't get that exact excitement needed to eat it. You could be the best fisherman in the world, know all the best spots, but it's just like fish move. So if you aren't getting lucky and putting your baits in the right spots in front of the right fish, then you're not going to catch anything. So sometimes it pays off to be painfully slow. Fortunately, the camera wasn't on, but we just pulled up to a new spot and I forgot to hit record, of course. This redfish literally ate when that bait hit the water. Let's go ahead and get this guy in the boat. A little bit bigger than the last one. There's another fish in the books, a beautiful about 18-inch redfish. Nothing special about his spots, but they're still beautiful. But Once again, not gonna keep these fish out of the water too long, just gonna get them right back on their merry way. But that's 2 fish on this bait so far. So honestly, I've probably been fishing for about an hour. So this bait's not too bad so far. The redfish seem to like it. I didn't know if that fish was gonna be big or not, just because he literally ate right when it hit the water and it felt like a pretty big thump. But we're gonna get him back in the water and get back onto fishing. All right, 2 fish in the books. 2, not bad, they're not rat reds, they're decent reds, so it's fun. The cheap bait's working so far. Let's go check and see how the hook's looking. Still not very big fish, but that hook is still perfectly fine. The eyes are gone. I don't know if you can see that. The eyes are completely gone on both sides. I mean, that's not too big of a deal. So hooks are solid so far in those like size fish. Eyes, not solid on the sheep bait, but it's catching fish. And for what, like 93 cents for that bait, and only $1.86 for the pack. It's doing pretty good, doing pretty good. You can end up spending a lot of money when buying fishing tackle. I know I have spent way too much money on fishing tackle, and sometimes I think that when you get lost in having all these different lures, all these different baits, and I know I do this personally a lot, where I'm constantly retying, trying out new baits, trying to figure out, okay, what's gonna work, what's gonna work. Sometimes, like I mentioned earlier, it's just about putting that lure, whatever lure it is, in the face of the fish at the right time. And when doing challenges like this, where we're just throwing one lure the entire time, sometimes it actually ends up being beneficial, because you're not wasting that time retying, you're just simply fishing. You're just fishing, you're just throwing that bait out there, and luckily getting this lure in front of the right fish. That one had to literally land on top of it because he ate literally right away. I wish I didn't forget to turn my GoPro on, but we still got a lot of daylight left before this rain inevitably hits. Let's see if we can catch some more fish, and hopefully a bigger fish to really test out these hooks. There we go. Little red. That is a very small red. I'm not gonna show this one off to the camera, but his tail is so blue. He's got some amazing spots on him. Maybe I will show him off to the camera. This guy has some really cool spots on him. He's got 3 over here on his tail. He's got 1 in the middle. Beautiful redfish with those beautiful spots on his tail. That is so cool to see. We're gonna get him back in the water. I can't tell if the storm's gonna hit me or not. All right, as you can see behind me, the storm is catching up to me. So we're gonna go hit a few more spots, and hopefully this rain will hold off so we can catch some more fish. So my camera's just been having a lot of issues today. It's been a while since I've been on the water, so the mic's just not working correctly. I just need to get a new mic. And the SD card for some reason isn't working properly either, so I just need to get some new gear, just because the stuff has been sitting for so long. So what I'm saying in this clip right here that doesn't have any audio is that I've probably been fishing for about 4 to 6 hours. This bait is starting to take a nice beating from all the fish that we've been catching, and probably a bunch of other gibbers. That doesn't really matter. All right, that bait had been through it, so I am gonna tie on this blue one and just hope for the best. I honestly really don't like this color compared to the white, but I think it's a necessary change with how beat up that other one was getting. Oh, there we go. What do we got here? Well, it's good to know that this one will still work. Pretty sure this is a red. About the same size as the other ones we've been catching. Yeah, it's another red. All right, the blue will work. Oh, that is such a beautiful sign. It's a little girthier than the other ones. Beautiful red. He's got a little red cut mark on the back there. Get him quietly back in the water. Oh, big wake up here. No! That was a big wake. He's still here. Got him. There's a bunch of them. Oh, I didn't even get that big of one, but there's a whole school swimming right behind him. Oh, and there are some big ones in there. Dang. There's a whole school of redfish swimming together. It's not a bad one. It's better than the other ones, but man, there were some big ones in that school. This is a thick one. He's like really tall. His tail is lit up too. Super bright blue tail in the water. Dang, that was sick. I don't know if you can tell on camera. It's a lot brighter when he's in the water, but the tail on this fish was so lit up blue. This thing was beautiful. Off he goes. But just the way that fish was hooked, you can see that this bait broke a little bit, but it's still not broken enough to where I'm not gonna throw it. It seems like there's a lot of fish hanging out in these back areas. I've already spooked like 2 or 3 more. So I'm gonna get back in the water. We're gonna get back tossing and hopefully we can whack some more redfish. Maybe a big one. I thought those were gonna be some big ones. They were just cruising up and down these little mangrove lines right here. And they were pushing some big wake, but it was just a school of a bunch of them. But man, that was a sick eat. That was really fun. There we go. Oh, trout. First trout of the day. That's cool. Wet my hand. Beautiful, like 15, 16-inch trout right there. First one of the day. It's pretty sick to get a trout, but gonna get him back in the water. Don't want to keep him out too long. But all right, got ourselves a trout. That bait, I'll go show you real quick. That bait is completely done. Completely messed up. As you can see, that bait this one's completely done, all ripped up, done for after that trout right there. So it got 3 fish on this one before it got completely messed up, but we got one more bait. So we're gonna toss that bait around until the inevitable, that one breaks too, and see if we can whack some more fish before we call it a day. Knew there'd be a fish there. What do we got? Looks like another trout. A little troutski. It's actually not a bad one. He choked the lure though. See if we can get this thing out of him. Let go of the tail. All right, he choked that lure, but we got him out pretty quick, so he should swim right off. So essentially there was a little spot right here where the water was running through pretty dang quickly actually. And so in my head, I was like, okay, there's definitely gonna be a fish there. It was just a little trout, but it was a fish. Basically, if you ever see little tight spots like that where water seems to be pushing through it, even if it's just from the wind, not current, there's a good chance there might be fish in that area. I just heard another fish jump over here. The fish should be really active right now, which is sick. It's made it pretty easy for this little lure challenge, so I'm pretty stoked on that. But that trout didn't destroy the lure, so we still got a lure left. Let's see if we can catch more fish. All right, I gave this one a little bit too much of a skip. He's deep in there. I don't think I'm getting him out, so I've been trying to get him out for about 10 minutes now, so we're gonna hope for the best, pulling, see what happens. Leader broke at the very end. Well, skipped that one a little bit too far, and we ended up losing it in the mangroves, so we are technically out of baits. I mean, I still have this white one that's pretty beat up, so I'm just gonna toss this on my way out. All right, that last cast did it. That was the last of the lures. The wind is really starting to pick up. The fishing has died down a little bit, so I'm gonna head back to the ramp and I will give you guys my final thoughts around these baits once we get there. So overall, I think this bait did pretty dang good. The hooks never bent on it. It got pretty beat up, but that's pretty normal for soft plastic, so no really complaints there. We didn't really hook into any big fish to really test out the hooks, but for the fish that we're targeting with a lure this size, and you can still catch big fish, but it held up really dang good as far as the hooks and everything. I mean, this one is the one I never used because the ring was, that was one thing, but that's also kind of my fault because I didn't check that when I bought it. I like how it's very fluid, like a very fluid design, where like the eyes are built in, the jig head is inside of it, compared to like normal jig heads where it just like kind of doesn't look super fluid for all the different kinds. So that was one thing I actually really did like about it, how it's just super fluid. It looks a lot more natural that way. The weight in front and side makes it kind of sit like this, which kind of helps with working it like a shrimp like I was doing. I still think that is this probably a better bang for your buck, getting a pack of like 12 lures with getting some jig heads as well, probably. But I have no complaints with this lure. I'll probably buy them and use them again just because it actually works so well. I think that they actually have a little bit better action than like the DOAs. I just thought that the tail did a little bit more than these ones do. It's obviously a lot easier to use being pre-rigged than Z-Mans, because sometimes Z-Man can be a pain to get on the hooks, and once they come off, they're just like too loose and whatnot, and it's really annoying to use. So yeah, overall, I had a great experience with the lure. I have no complaints at all. If you like the video, leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Thank you guys so much. It feels good to be back making videos again. I'm loving it. I'm heading down to the Keys in a couple days, so I'm stoked for that trip. So stay tuned for some more content. Stay tuned for the next video. Peace.